Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, we have an Olympic champion, an 11-time world champion. We are talking to Brazil's own Cesar Cielo, the world record holder still in the 50-meter freestyle. Cesar, what's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's all good here, Coleman. Thanks again for inviting me to join the podcast and talk a little bit about swimming coming up to in the Olympics. And we're gonna see some fast swimming, man. I'm excited to see what, especially the 50 freestylers, are gonna bring.
This episode of the SwimSwam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, SwimSwam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. Let's just start there. Let's not beat around the bush here. You've held this world record since 2009. You're an Olympic champion in this event in the 50 freestyle. You're multiple-time world champion in it. I mean, this was, this was your baby. This was your event. What are you liking that you are seeing out of the world sprinters heading into these 2024 Paris Olympics? Because I feel like just in the last 3 years, it's even been a shortened quad, right? It's only been 3 years instead of 4 because of the postponement of the Tokyo Olympics. But even in those 3 short years, I feel like we've seen a lot of development in the 50-meter freestyle.
Yeah, absolutely, Coleman. I think what has been interesting, well, the most, I would say, it's Ken McAvoy and his style of training, his approach to the way he's training right now. I think it's something that right now it's interesting to be able to see how he goes, how he handles all of his meets, and how he is finding ways to keep the high speed for such a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's gonna be a tough battle between McAvoy, Ben Proud. I'm gonna put Manaudou in the mix there. Caleb Dressel. I think those four are I honestly don't see those four. It's hard. I'm going to say I don't see those four out of the podium, but there's only 3 medals. So I'm going to say there's a tie coming for the 50 freestyle because I really like those 4, man. I don't see anybody beating them. It's the Olympics. We're always going to see someone new coming up, but it's interesting to see how much faster, especially the first 15 meter, has just gotten in the last years. I'm going to say it feels like maybe 0.2 or 0.3 seconds faster than it used to be. So it's interesting, man. I think we are finally reaching to that and making it easy. I'm saying we, but talking about McAvoy and Dressel and Ben Proud, but we are finally seeing the 21 zeros and 21 ones coming up more frequently. And I think that's what's going to take maybe a 20.9, maybe a 20.8. But I believe those 4 guys are in that range. I think Manaudou has something in the tank that he hasn't shown yet. I saw the race from the French trial. So it's going to be a great race, man. I'm excited to finally see those 4 together because last year we didn't see Dressel competing against McAvoy. I don't think we saw Manaudou at the top level, and Proud hasn't been the best when it comes to the World Championship. So I think finally we're going to see those 4 great guys really in the top level of their training and at the highest level competing against each other.
I think you said it. I'm so excited to see that collision of titans, especially because it looks like Caleb is Dressel is back on form. Cam McAvoy has looked great this past year. And then Florent Manaudou, it seems like he's on a mission, right? He's been thrown down. He won a best time in the 100 freestyle at in his 30s. He's 47.9 or 47.8, I think. And he seems happy. He seems like he's in a good place, and it's a home Olympics, right? Like you have to want to perform for something like that. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think a lot of people saw the prelims of the French trials, and there's something there. Okay, so for us that are used to see the 50 freestyle and see the race and the stroke rate and everything, he shut it down big time there. I think there's a 21-1, maybe a 21-2 inside of him right now, and maybe with a little more energy from the crowd. I don't know. It's the Olympics in Paris, his home country, and who knows? It's the 50. As long as he's in the final, I think he has a shot to become a 2-time Olympic champion.
That would be such a cool finish to see, especially we saw Tony Irvin do a similar thing where he won golds in that event 16 years apart. To see Florent win 12 years apart would be amazing. But yeah, I think that's going to be a great race. And then let's double down on this and switch to the 100 freestyle as well, because we've seen that after your world record in that event stood for so long, we saw it get broken twice in 2 years. Right?
No, it's not even. No, it's just everybody's doing it. Popovich did it again, so it's all gone. I mean, it's not all gone. It's like it has disappeared, Coleman. Okay, it's the past, man.
Well, it's. I mean, what have you seen in the 100 freestyle where that you think has transformed this event? Because I think we all knew it was going to. It had to happen eventually, but I think there were so many points where we thought it would happen, maybe in Tokyo with Dressel and Chalmers, or maybe even in 2017 with Dressel when he was kind of on his ascent and to sprint dominance, but it never went down. And then once it did, it seemed like the doors got blown open in that event for everyone to start going 46s.
Yeah. It's interesting to talk about the 100 because it has changed, and even I would say the stereotype, the prototype of swimmer from the 50 is so much different than the 100 nowadays. I mean, we just talked about Dressel, Ben Proud, Manaudou, and even McAvoy. He has just gotten so bigger. I mean, those guys have muscle. I mean, they are strong. And then we go to the 100, you have Chalmers that has a lot of muscle and is a very strong guy, but at the same time, you have Popovich, you have the Chinese Zhang Lipan, if I'm saying his name correctly, and you have Alexei, he's a big dude, he's a big guy.
Dude, but he's also so long.
Yeah, and you have Giuliano, that is also a very tall guy, but you don't see it. I mean, you don't see them as strong as the 50 guys. So it's almost like you're seeing two different types of people. And the races are not that far away from each other. I mean, it's crazy how specific, those races have gotten and how even the body shape has changed. And even from 2020, I mean, we're talking about Chalmers against Dressel in the Tokyo Games. And now 3 years later, it's like Popovich against Zhang Lipan. And those two, I mean, I can say skinny guys. And for me, I think what is different from those two, and even for Chalmers, what I like from those three guys especially, is their kicking, man. I think their kicking it's crazy. I mean, that last 15 meters, I don't know how they find energy for that, and how they get something out of their body at that point of the race, but their kicking is beautiful, man. It's so powerful, so efficient, especially for Popovich and for Zhang Lipan. I mean, that's what stood out to me, because I saw the relay, the 4x1 relay, where Zhang Li broke the world record in 46.8, and I kept looking at the race, and I was like, where is the beautiful thing? What's standing out for me? Because I didn't see anything standing out right away. I saw the start, I don't know, 15 times. I'm like, how did he go 46.8 with that start? And then I saw the underwater. I was like, it's not Dressel's underwater. And then I saw him swimming. I was like, it's not crazy powerful stroke. But then I was like, he never speeds down. I mean, he never slows down. He doesn't. I mean, from the beginning to the end of the race, he's there on top of the water. And then when I started to look at his stroke and I saw his kicking, I was like, all right. So when everybody's tired, he's just on top of the water. His kicking is doing the work, and it's just a beautiful way to finish the race. So that's what those two guys do very well, and Chalmers in the same way. So it's going to be interesting to see some guys flipping very fast in the first 50. But I mean, there's not a sure thing when you have Popovich, when you have Zanlipa, and you have Chalmers just beside you, and you're like, yeah, I'm ahead. Yeah, but for how long you're going to be ahead? So because those guys are going to get you in the way back. So I believe those three guys are, for me, the top three guys for the 100 freestyle right now. I don't know in which order. I think Chalmers is a dangerous guy when it comes to the final. He knows how to perform at those specific moments. So I like his chances to become also two-time Olympic champion. I think it's my bet right now, but I think Popovich is maybe reaching the best point of his career. After that 46, his face when he saw the 46, was it Seticoli or was it some other Europeans? His face was like, oh my God, like, really? Like, is the scoreboard correct? Like, what's going on? So he has more in the tank. I remember when we were talking, Coma, a few years ago, and we were like, man, what is going to take to do a 46.5? And we were like, man, that's a crazy number. That's a crazy split. I think we're there. I think we're going to see a 46.6. And the final might be tight. I think the final is going to be tough. Everybody's going to be very nervous. But at the semifinals, I think we're going to see some crazy times in the semifinals.
I can say very confidently that will be the fastest semifinal ever.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think,
3:46 is in the semifinals, man. Yeah, we're going to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be a really crazy event. Super fun to watch. It's interesting. I feel like maybe this goes in waves where the 100 freestyle is this event that can kind of, people will go down and swim the 50 and do the 100 and the 50, or they'll go up and do the 100 and the 200. And I feel like we're trending more towards people being able to do the 100 and the 200, but then a little more specialized between the 100 and the 50, right? Because I mean, just the names you said for the 100 versus the 50, completely different, right? It's just, and what we're seeing right now is two completely different body types to swim the 50 or the 100, whereas maybe I think when you were competing, it was much more of a lot of the top guys in the 50 and the 100 overlapped, right? I mean, just for you in your training and your career, do you feel like, or how did you balance preparing for both those races, knowing that, that, like you said, they're not that far in distance, but they are pretty different?
Yeah, as far as training, Coma, I've always trained for both events. I mean, some workouts I focused on the 50, but whenever we were doing the 50, it was all about how much rest we had for the sets and for the sprints, and I would say the speed that we were working on, and that was the main difference. I would say that 70% of the time, 60 or 70% of the time, we would be doing 100 freestyle pace because it's more manageable for the training. Because the tough part about the sprint freestyle, the 50 freestylers, is that you gotta go no breath, and that limits what you can do for the training so much. Because I mean, let's just imagine that we're doing, I don't know, like a 425 set on a minute as fast as you can. If you're doing a 50 freestyle pace, you gotta go no breath. So the challenge is more doing the whole set no breath instead of holding the pace. It becomes more like a air thing more than anything. And if you do the same set in 100 pace, you can drop to 40-second interval, and it's not that hard because you took down a little bit of the speed and you're breathing every 4 strokes. So the training is so much different, and especially when it comes to the body position and the stroke rate and this no breath element that the 50 freestyle brings. So I think that's what more and more we're seeing this difference between 50 and 100 freestyle, because it's like you know how to swim freestyle, but if you talk to the pros, it's like, how many freestyles do you have? Because you got to have a freestyle for the 50, you got to have a freestyle for the 100, you got to have a freestyle for the 200, for mid distance and for long distance. So you need 5, 6 freestyles. So it's different ways to swim the same stroke and different training. So I think that's why we're seeing more 100 and 200 pairing more than the 50 and the 100. And also the body type, man. I mean, if we see Manaudou, he went 47.9. He's not the best example right now. But let's talk about, for example, Ben Pro. I mean, can you imagine that guy holding 100 long course to a 47.5? I mean, he's gonna finish the race. He's bigger than the lane lines, man. he's too strong. So he's focusing on the 50, and he's building power, and he's betting everything on the 50, which I believe is the right thing to do for him too. And I think that's what separates most of the 50 and 100 freestylers. Back in my day, I mean, we used to do all the 100 freestyle to help the training. But I think even if we talk about the volume of training, I think right now we're doing less and less for the 50 freestylers. It's all about intensity. Get ready, do the intensity, and get out. So we're seeing 1,000 yards workouts, 800 yards workouts, because they did 200-300 yards like all out. That's all you can do. You can do more than 300 all out. So the workout's done. So it's more specific, it's shorter, and I think that's limiting a little bit the way to do the 100 freestyle. But I mean, I'm all in for it, man. I mean, I want to see those guys drop to 20 point and challenge the world record, because they are swimming fast, man. Especially, I mean, McAvoy has been impressing me the most because of the way he's training and the way he's just publicly saying and talking about his training. I think he's really doing something that's going to change the sprint freestyle for the future. He's going to become the reference when it comes how short can you train and how fast can you go. I think right now he's the reference for us.
Agreed. Yeah, I love what we've seen from Cam McAvoy, both in the competition pool and how he's been so public and just be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying something completely different. And I feel like we've seen examples of this in the past, but for him to just rewrite his own training book so much and then just completely share it with everyone, it's been awesome. Yeah. So.
I mean, we used to do, Coleman, in Auburn. We had Mondays and Fridays morning. We had a session that we used to call the power sessions. We used to go to the gym, do like an hour 15, super heavy weights, and straight to the pool for maybe 30 minutes. And those 30 minutes, we would do like, 15, 16, 20 sprints. It would go as high as 300, 400 yards for the entire session. So, I mean, we used to do that in Auburn back in the day with Fred, with George Bovell. So Monday and Friday, hour and 15 of heavy weights, 300 yards all out with a bunch of sprints. But McAvoy is doing that every day, man. He's doing that all the time. So he really saw that workout. He's like, man, this is how you swim fast. I'm going to do it every day. So it's interesting, man. And I think it's fun. More than anything, I think he's bringing, again, just especially when you're older, you don't want to do a bunch of meters yardage. So I'm pretty sure he's having fun with the water too.
Yeah, I think the big question mark that's looming for him, everyone is wondering if they'll slot him in to the relay, right? To the 400 free relay. I don't think so. And I think I think he probably could do it, but I don't think he wants to, it's like, because that's not what he's doing for training at all. Right. And it's like, you want your 4 best guys or 4 most prepared guys who have been doing that kind of freestyle. Like, he hasn't trained 100 freestyle at all. Cause like you said, he's doing the 30-minute sprint workouts every day.
Yeah, I can see him doing the prelims, but I don't think he would be comfortable doing the final. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has something on his sleeves that we don't know. But we're talking about a guy that has been 47-0. I don't know, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. but at the same time, he's not the same Ken McAvoy. So if it's, I think it's a tough call for the Australian coaches. And if I were in his position, I don't think I would do it, man. I think he's gonna break all the sequence he has for the 50, because the 400 freestyle relay is in the first day, the 50 is almost in the last day, it's the second last day. So it changes the sequence. And when it comes to the planning of his sprinting, he's very meticulous. So I think he's gonna stay on track. He's gonna do his thing, and I think that's the best he can do to actually become an Olympic champion.
I agree. Yeah, I think he's going to opt out, but I suppose we will see. Let's turn the attention outside the pool. You're going to be helping Brazil's broadcast team during the Paris Olympics, which you've done commentating like this before. Can you just take me through what that role is going to look like for you? And you're actually traveling to Paris for the opening ceremonies, but then you'll come back to Rio to cover the actual games.
Yeah, it's gonna be busy, very busy, man, because we're gonna go to the open ceremony and we will fly back the day after to get back as fast as we can to start the coverage of swimming. And I'm gonna stay all the way to the end. So to be honest, man, I'm nervous about the other sports, because I might have to call and talk about other sports. So I have been studying a lot about, man, some crazy stuff about gymnastics.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like things that I have no idea. Now I have been reading about the break dancing, man. That's what we have to do. I mean, I got to find out about the big girls and the big boys and and the skating and surf. So I'm a little nervous about that, man, because it's really getting out of my comfort zone. But well, hopefully it's going to be fun, and I'm going to try to not say a lot of crazy things on the internet, because I don't want to end up in the social media with some crazy videos, man, talking so many bad things. But yeah, we're going to be here in Brazil, man, from Rio, when we get back, from 2 a.m., which is like 7 in Paris, from 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we might be just working on that frame for every day. And yeah, hopefully everything goes well, and we help the sport, Olympic sport, get more audience, which is the most. That's why I'm doing this, because I feel like, it has been tough in the last year, since Rio, to be honest, Coleman, since the Rio 16 games, the Olympic sport has been, just dropping, and less people are interested in watching. So hopefully having more athletes, more people that know that what you're talking about, help the audience to get back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't think of someone more qualified to do it than you, especially for a Brazilian audience. So I'm excited for you for that. So I mean, I've covered meets like this before, and you've obviously been to a ton of these meets, but do you feel like it's like getting ready for a championship meet, especially with like the weird sleep schedule and that's like 2 full weeks of work?
Yeah. Well, that's the first time I'm going to be doing in this way. Last time in Tokyo was only for swimming. And to be honest, I think it was very comfortable. I mean, I just had to change my sleeping habits. It was easy. And when it comes to swimming, man, it's easy for us. I mean, I know all the names, I know all the times. Now I'm a little, more anxious, because I don't know the names of the track and field. I don't know the names of even the Brazilian team, like for other sports. I don't know their names. So it's that's the challenging part. But yeah, I'm getting nervous too, man. I mean, when it comes to those meets, there's no way to not feel the butterflies. I mean, the butterflies are flying hard already, especially because I still have a lot of good friends on the team. I mean, I have people that are close to me on the team, so it's hard to watch and see, that guy that has been training so hard, and he deserves a very good result. And I'm working, but at the same time, I'm cheering for them to, achieve whatever they're putting themselves to. So it's interesting, man. We still have that feeling of I think like that little swimmer that I still have inside of me will never go away. I still want to go to the pool every now and then, and I still feel the butterflies in my stomach when it comes to those races. I watch I still feel like my hands are getting cold and starting to breathe a little faster. Like, oh, it's the 50 freestyle. Now my heart is pounding and I'm not even in the pool. And I'm like, why am I still nervous? But it's just how it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you can't get away from that part of it, right? So talk to me a little bit about the opening ceremonies you're going over. I'm kind of curious just why you're going over just for that portion of it, but also, talk to me about the emotion of an Olympic opening ceremonies, especially just being there for it in person.
Well, it's going to be my first time ever, Coleman. I've never been to the open ceremony, and I've never watched an opening ceremony, to be honest. Even the Tokyo one, when the ceremony was going on, I was going to Rio, so I flew at the time, and I kind of missed when it was going to happen. So I never watched it. It's going to be my very first one, and the TV here in Brazil decided to send us because apparently should be one of the biggest openings of all time. So the idea of just having all the boats on the river, and it's just going to be a very special Olympics, especially after the pandemic period that we've been through. So hopefully this really brings a lot of attention, a lot of good things for the Olympic sports, and they are preparing a very nice coverage, spending a lot of money, and they really want Brazilian people to get back to the Olympic sport. So hopefully being there helps and makes the coverage better. And we're going to be with some big names from the Brazilian TV there also. So should be maybe the highest, one of the highest points of the entire Olympics for us.
Yeah. I forgot it was going to be on the river in all the boats. That's going to be really cool to watch and to witness.
Yeah, first time ever that it's not in the stadium. So it's a lot of good things happening, and especially after the pandemic period. I think everybody just wants a nice party, those beautiful games again, and go back to the way it was.
But yeah, that was certainly one of the storylines at our Olympic trials was just athletes getting asked, oh, what can you expect in this games, especially as opposed to Tokyo, and how it was so different. So definitely excited to get back to some normalcy in that regard as well.
I think, if you go back home, it just seems like it has been like 10 years ago. But in Tokyo, man, the athletes were getting their medals with masks. It's so bad, man. It takes so much away. So hopefully this is a beautiful party and a beautiful moment for the sport to, just go back to normal and go back to normal full force.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm hoping that as well. Cesar, it's always great talking to you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to catch up. And I guess we'll see you in Paris, and we'll catch you on the Brazilian networks as you commentate at the Olympics.
Sounds good. Again, thank you for inviting me for the podcast. And I have been following the U.S., especially the U.S. trials, since I left, man. I still keep following all the results, and I think the U.S. is going maybe with one of the best teams I've ever seen. It's a very strong team, even though it's young. I think there's a lot of good things coming for the U.S., and those Olympics are going to be epic, man. I feel like the Australian team is probably hitting their very best in a long time too, and. I think it's just we're lucky to be able to watch this and to be working, for the Olympics. This is our work. It doesn't even feel like working. And but hopefully, we get to see some world records and some great races, and it's awesome. And hopefully, I get to see you guys during the week. If I find a little break on the TV, I'll shoot you an email, and we'll see if I can participate in the lives too.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.